Let's start where they do, not with a cage, but with a key. It begins in a way you wouldn't suspect, because it feels like the opposite of control. It feels like discovery, like finally being seen. He doesn't barge into your life. He arrives as the answer to a question you've been whispering to yourself for years. He listens, not just to your words, but to the spaces between them. He mirrors your humor, your passions, your hidden hurts. He offers a reflection of yourself, but perfected, more understood than you've ever been. He doesn't bomb you with grand, empty gestures. That's too crude. This is more surgical. It's targeted validation. He identifies the parts of you that feel unseen, unappreciated, the secret aspirations, the quiet shames, and he offers them sanctuary. He tells you you're different, special, that others don't see your true depth, but he does. He creates a language that belongs only to the two of you, private jokes, shared glances. It's intoxicating. This is the brilliant, cruel first move. He isn't taking anything from you. He's giving you something you desperately crave, a sense of profound psychological intimacy. He's building what feels like a sanctuary, a world for two, and you welcome it. You lower the drawbridge yourself, grateful for the knight who seems to have arrived just in time. This is the prelude, the enchantment, and its entire purpose is disarmament. You see, true control cannot be seized against fortified walls. The walls must be invited down. By making you feel completely, utterly understood, he is not building you up. He is making you vulnerable. He is creating a dependency on his perception. You start to think, he gets me. He sees the real me. And with that thought, a dangerous shift occurs. Your own perception of yourself begins to subtly entwine with his. His approval becomes the metric. His understanding becomes the truth. It feels like love. It's designed to. It's the sugar that coats the poison. Because this stage, this perfect mirrored connection, establishes the core currency of the relationship, his attention, his validation, his emotional supply. He gives it generously, lavishly at first. You become addicted to the high of being seen so perfectly. You don't yet realize you're drinking from a well he controls. The stage is being set. The invisible threads are being attached, not to your limbs, but to your heart, to your very sense of self. You are being connected to a puppeteer who makes you feel in these glorious early days like you finally found home. This sanctuary isn't a refuge. It's the foundation of your future self. And it is from this place of trust, this bonded intimacy, that he will begin the real work of separating you from everything else. So now you are in the sanctuary. It feels safe, warm, complete. You trust the reflection he has shown you. You begin to rely on the world he has described, a world where the two of you are the only real inhabitants, the only ones who truly understand. This is the moment the architecture of your reality begins to be quietly, carefully remodeled. The invisible cage is not built with steel. It is woven from whispers and concern, from shared secrets and subtle corrections. It starts with the people around you. It's never a command. It's an observation, a gentle, almost reluctant insight he shares because he cares so deeply. He might notice how a certain friend seems to drain your energy, how they are subtly competitive, how they don't celebrate your successes the way you deserve. He points out how your family, with their outdated expectations, fails to see the brilliant person you are. His observations are precise, often echoing a small hidden doubt you've already felt but never voiced. He frames it as protection. I just hate to see them take advantage of your good heart. He positions himself not as a critic of your loved ones, but as the lone defender of your worth against their unconscious slights. One by one, the connections that once sustained you begin to feel different, less satisfying, fraught with a new tension. You start to view your old life through his lens. Conversations with friends feel shallow compared to the profound depth you share with him. Family gatherings become an ordeal, a performance where you have to translate your new, authentic self back into a language they can understand, a language he has taught you is limiting. He becomes your primary source of emotional truth, your confidant, Your refuge from a world that, as he has helped you see, is often indifferent or exploitative. Simultaneously, he begins to absorb your time and identity. Your hobbies, if they don't include him, become less important. I just miss you when you're gone, he'll say, making your independent joy feel like an act of abandonment. He champions your dreams, but only the ones he has curated, the ones that fit neatly into the shared future he paints for you both. Other aspirations are met with a pragmatic, loving concern for your well-being. It's just so competitive. I'd hate to see you get hurt. The message is consistent. The outside world is a chaotic, dangerous, or superficial place. But here, with him, you are safe. You are valued. You are home. This is the isolation of reality. He is not just pulling you away from people. He is dismantling your entire external frame of reference. Your friends, your family, your passions. They were the pillars that held up your sense of self, the mirrors that showed you different, authentic reflections. By casting doubt on them, by making your connection to them feel burdensome or flawed, he removes those pillars. And what is left to hold up your identity? Him. His opinions become your compass. His moods dictate your weather. His approval is the sun you orbit. The cage is now complete. You may not see the bars because you are looking into his eyes. You may not feel the lock because you believe you hold the key. But the world has shrunk to the size of the room the two of you are in. Every piece of information, every emotion, every truth must now pass through him. You have been separated from the shore, and he has become the only vessel in an increasingly vast and frightening sea. He has made himself the sole arbiter of what is real, what is good, and what is true. And in that quiet, controlled space, the real manipulation can begin. With the walls of the world drawn tight around you both, the environment becomes perfectly controlled. The air grows still. This is when the light begins to bend. You are now living in a reality defined by a single source. Your old compasses are gone. Your maps are outdated. You navigate by his word. And at first, his word is law. It is comforting. It provides structure in the quiet he has created. But then, a subtle shift occurs. The law begins to change. The facts of your shared history start to warp. He will recount a conversation from yesterday, a simple moment, but his version will have a new edge, a new intention attributed to your words that you don't remember. You'll recall a promise he made, a small assurance, and he will look at you with gentle confusion, then concern. I never said that. You must have misunderstood. You know I'd never say something like that to you. And he says it with such conviction, such sincere worry for your memory or your stress levels, that a fissure opens in your mind. Did I misunderstand? This is gaslighting. It is not an argument. It is not a lie shouted. It is a quiet, surgical alteration of your perception. It works because you are already isolated. There is no one to turn to and ask, "Do you remember it that way?" There is only his recollection, steady and sure, against yours, which is now shaky and suspect. He will deny events outright. He will contradict your feelings. If you are hurt by something he said, he will explain patiently that you are actually hurt because of your own sensitivity, your past trauma, your inability to handle his honesty. Your emotional response becomes proof of your instability, not a valid reaction to his behavior. The goal is not to win a debate. The goal is to make you disbelieve your own senses, to make you question the very machinery of your mind. You start to live in a state of low-grade anxiety, constantly double-checking your memories, policing your own reactions before you voice them. You begin to apologize for being confused, for being too emotional, for starting fights by asking for clarification. You learn that peace, that precious, fragile piece of the sanctuary, is maintained not by mutual understanding, but by your surrender to his narrative. He will project his own motives onto you with chilling clarity. If he is secretive and controlling, he will accuse you of being the one who is hiding things, of being manipulative. He will take the very weapon he is using and place its handle in your hand, then step back in wounded innocence. You are left holding the knife, bewildered, while he points at the blade and tells you this is proof of your dangerous nature. Your perception becomes the enemy. Your memory is a traitor. Your emotions are liars. The only thing that is real, the only thing that can be trusted, is his interpretation. You become psychologically dependent on him for the most basic human function, to accurately perceive reality. You need him to tell you what happened, what it meant, and how you should feel about it. He becomes the architect of your past, the narrator of your present, and the prophet of your future. This is the war on perception, and it is a war of attrition you cannot win, because he is the one who defines victory. He changes the rules, moves the goalposts, and rewrites the score in the night. Your confidence crumbles, your certainty evaporates. You are no longer being controlled from the outside. You are being hollowed out from within, your inner voice growing fainter, replaced by the steady, insistent drone of his voice telling you who you are, what you did, and what is true. In this fog you will cling to the one thing that still seems solid, him. In the fog he has created, where your own thoughts feel untrustworthy, you will learn to search for landmarks. You will crave clarity, a moment of solid ground. And he will provide it, but only in carefully measured doses. This is the cruelest mechanism of all, the engine that transforms confusion into addiction. It, called intermittent reinforcement, and it is the same principle that keeps a gambler at the slot machine. You've been living in the cold silence of his disapproval, or the bewildering haze of his rewritten past. Your emotional world has been gray. Then, without warning, the sun breaks through. He returns to you as he was in the very beginning, the perfect mirror, the understanding confidant. He is affectionate, apologetic, lavishly attentive. He gives you the exact validation you have been starving for. He looks at you with that old intensity and tells you this is real, you are everything. He's been a fool to let distance grow. It feels like a miracle. It feels like salvation. The relief is so profound it is euphoric. You think, this is the man I fell for. He's back. I was wrong to doubt. If I just love him better, understand him more, this can last. This moment of reward is not a relapse into kindness. It is a deliberate, calculated payout. It is proof that the good him, the loving him, still exists and is accessible. And you will do anything to keep it, to get back to it when it fades, which it always does. Because the warmth never lasts, the chill returns. The withdrawal is triggered by something small, something you can't predict. A word, a look, a failure to read his mind. The connection is severed. The loving man is gone, replaced by the cold, distant stranger. You are left scrambling, reviewing your every action, trying to figure out what you did to make the paradise vanish. You apologize, you plead, you try harder. And for your efforts, you receive nothing. Silence, indifference, or further distortion. The machine has stopped paying out. You are left with only the memory of the jackpot and the desperate, gnawing need to hear the bells ring again. And after a period of this desert, a day, a week, calibrated to bring you to the edge of despair, the lever will pull again. The reward returns. The cycle repeats. Hot, cold, reward. Punishment, certainty, confusion. This cycle is more powerful than consistent kindness could ever be. Consistent kindness becomes background noise, predictable, safe. This is a storm. It wires your brain for obsession. The uncertainty itself becomes the hook. Your nervous system is trapped in a state of perpetual anticipation, hypervigilant for the next sign of his approval, the next crumb of the love that once felt like a feast. You are no longer living in a relationship. You are trapped in a laboratory, experiment. Your emotional responses conditioned like an animal's. The traumatic bond that forms is ironclad. It is forged not in shared joy, but in shared pain and the fleeting relief from it. The highest highs are defined by the depth of the lows that preceded them. You become addicted to the relief, not the love. And he is the sole dealer. He controls the supply. He decides when you are worthy of the drug and when you must suffer its absence. This is how a heart is chained. Not with walls, but with a pattern. Not with a single blow, but with a rhythm of hope and despair that eventually becomes the only song you know how to dance to. You will cling to the memory of the warmth while standing in the cold, believing with every fractured piece of your mind that if you just stand there long enough, perfectly still, the sun will choose to shine on you once more. You are now a prisoner of the pattern. Now the work is internal and complete. The cage is not around you, it has been built inside you. The puppeteer no longer needs to pull the strings with visible effort. Your own nervous system, your own desperate heart, does the work for him. This is the final stage, the replacement of self. The erosion is so total, so gradual, that you may not even notice when you cross the line from a person with a relationship into a vessel for his will. Consider what has been systematically dismantled. Your external world was isolated, its mirrors shattered. Your perception of reality was gaslit until it fractured. Your emotional stability was hooked to an addictive cycle of punishment and reward. What foundation is left for a self to stand upon? The very ground of your being has been salted, and into that barren soil only one thing is allowed to grow: the need to please him, to anticipate his moods, to avoid his displeasure, to win, for a fleeting moment, the reward of the man you first fell for. Your desires slowly bend to align with his. Opinions you once held soften, then change to match his own, because disagreement carries the risk of the cold withdrawal. Your hobbies, if they do not serve him, fall away from disuse. Your appearance may alter to fit his precise ideal. You stop telling certain stories from your past because he has shown, with a sigh or a bored glance, that he finds them tiresome. Your personality, once a complex landscape, is flattened into a single functional plane, the landscape of a caretaker, a soother, a pleaser. You become exquisitely sensitive to the slightest shift in the atmosphere around him, a change in his breathing, a particular silence, the way he sets down a glass. These become your primary texts, to be studied and decoded for signs of impending storm or possible sunshine. Your entire mental and emotional energy is directed outward, toward managing his state. Your own state becomes irrelevant, a distant, muffled noise. Are you tired? Are you hurt? Are you afraid? These questions are not just unanswered, they cease to be asked. The inner voice that once posed them has grown quiet, drowned out by the constant, frantic monitor broadcasting his emotional frequency. You make excuses to the outside world for him. You defend him to the ghost of your former self. You tell yourself the exhaustion, the constant anxiety, the hollow feeling are the price of a passionate or complicated love. He has defined the world, and in his world this is what love is: to want anything else. Peace, predictability, simple kindness, is to be weak, is to be boring, is to be ungrateful for the intense, all-consuming fire he insists is a gift. This is how a person becomes a puppet. The limbs move, the voice speaks, but the impulse comes from the need to placate, to survive the next cycle. Your choices are no longer expressions of want, but calculations of consequence. If I do this, he will be happy. If I say that, he will withdraw. Your heart is no longer an organ of your own feeling, but a compass needle frantically spinning, trying to find the magnetic north of his approval. The person you were is not murdered. That would create a martyr, a memory to be mourned. Instead, she is buried alive under the accumulated weight of his definitions, his corrections, his conditions. She is silenced. She is starved. She is left in the dark, while a shell walks in the light, performing the role of the beloved with a hollow, echoing precision. You have become the perfect silent instrument, and in the terrible quiet of your own soul, the only song left is the one he chooses to play. The cage is internal. The puppeteer's voice is the only song. But listen closely. Now, in the deepest part of that silence, beneath the layers of conditioning and fear, something remains. It is not the old you. That self was a country bombed into rubble. It is something more fundamental, the citizen of that country, the will to live ungoverned. It is a single stubborn ember, and it can be nursed back into a flame. This is not about revenge, this is about reclamation. This is the meticulous, painful, glorious work of rebuilding your inner world from the ground up, on your own terms. The first step is the hardest because it must be taken in the dark. It is the step of pattern recognition. You must look at the sanctuary and see the cell. You must look at the rescue and see the capture. This is an act of treason against the reality he built, and it will feel like madness. Your mind, wired for his approval, will scream that you are wrong, that you are destroying the only love you have. Do it anyway. Write it down. The isolation, the contradictions, the cycle. See the blueprint of the trap. Seeing it is the first act of reclaiming your own mind. It is you, from the future, sending a message back through time to the part of you still holding on in the dark. Then, you must rebuild the bridges you were taught to burn. This is not about a dramatic confrontation. It is about a whisper. One text to an old friend you were taught to distrust. I was just thinking of you. A visit to a family member you were told didn't understand. Sit in their presence and do not filter their words through his commentary. Just listen. These connections are your lifelines to a world outside his narrative. They are the proof that other realities exist, that other people can see you without needing to redefine you. Every authentic interaction is a brick in the new wall you are building, a wall to keep the manipulation out, not to keep you in. You must re-anchor yourself in objective reality. This is the counter-operation to the gaslighting. If he says the sky is green, you must go outside and look, and you must trust your eyes. Keep a journal, hidden and sacred. Write the facts. Today he said 10th, yesterday he promised why. Do not analyze. Just record. Create an unchangeable record that belongs only to you. This journal becomes your touchstone. When the fog rolls in and you begin to doubt your memory, you read your own words. You are bearing Whitney SS to yourself. You are becoming your own source of truth. The addiction will be the hardest to break. Your system will crave the hit of the intermittent reward. The withdrawal will be physical, a deep anxiety, a longing so profound it feels like grief. You must starve the addiction. This means enforcing a new, brutal consistency, the consistency of silence from him. No contact. Every time you reach out, you are taking the drug. You must understand that the good moments were not the real him breaking through. They were the mechanism of the trap. The only way to win is to refuse to play, to walk away from the slot machine, even when you are convulsed with the belief that the next pull will be the jackpot. And finally, slowly, you must rebuild the self. This is not about finding the old you. That person was changed in the fire. This is about the architect who will build a new city from the ashes. Start small. What did you like to eat before his opinions mattered? What music did you play when no one was listening? Go to a store and buy a shirt in a color he would hate. It is a tiny act of sovereignty. Make a decision, any decision, based solely on your own desire. It will feel terrifying, then exhilarating. Relearn your own rhythms. Sit in a room alone and ask the quiet, what do I want? The first answers will be echoes of him. Wait, ask again. This is the path. It is not a straight line. It is a daily, hourly recommitment to your own reality. There will be days you crawl backward, longing for the simplicity of the cage. But each time you choose your own perception, you drive a spike into the ground of your new world. Each time you endure the withdrawal without breaking, you weaken his hold. Each time you trust a friend's hand, you strengthen your own. The goal is not to forget the darkness. It is to learn its patterns so completely that you can never be lost in them again. To build a self with a foundation so deep and walls so true that no seducer's whisper can ever find a crack to seep through. You were broken into pieces to be reassembled as his instrument. Now, take every single piece back and rebuild something he can never play. The night is longest just before the dawn, but you must choose to walk toward the light.